Detroit preview coming up.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back, and we're live for another edition of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by the technician, Chris Aceto. We are 1 week out from the IFBB Detroit Pro, the second pro show of the year. That's Fouad Abiad's show. It's a great lineup. We're going to be talking about that in a minute. But, Chris, we lost a really great man, great fighter, George Foreman, big George Foreman. We were just talking about that movie that was on Netflix that your friend, David Zelon made.
Did he produce it?
I thought you said he produced. Who produced it? One of your guys.
Someone Google it. That's the only producer I know, Dave Zelon.
Yeah, you told me he made that. Remember we talked about that movie?
Yeah,
Big George Foreman, it was called.
He produced the Miss Olympia live on TV at ESPN, 1993. One.
It's a great movie. Big George Foreman.
I didn't even.
It was screenplay by Frank Baldwin, George Tillman, produced by David Zelon. Yeah, I was right. See, I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
That means Zelon got to spend time with
Foreman.
I'm sure he loved it. I'm sure he loved it to death. I'm sure George Foreman loved Dave Zelon.
George Foreman is such a great story, and they really captured it really well in that movie because he was one of these guys that was like he was the villain originally in boxing.
Yeah.
Because Muhammad Ali was the hero and he was the villain. Ali winds up beating him. Rumble in the
Ali, take it back, Dave. Ali was the villain. Then he became the hero. It was like wrestling felt the script. And then Foreman was the villain. He became the hero.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is that Foreman retired for a while and was like preaching.
20 years.
And then he needed money. He was going to go out a bit. The church he was running was going to go bankrupt. He's like, I got to fight. And again, so he makes the comeback at like 42 years old, which back then was like, it's like making a comeback at 52 because no one came back at that age back when he was doing it. And people thought he was crazy. Even my father who was a fight fan, he was like, what's this guy doing? This is he was out of shape. It took him like 3 years to actually get down to a reasonable weight. He was like totally overweight, fighting like bums basically. And then he started having a couple good fights and knocked out a couple people. And, and then he started doing, I don't know if he started doing the Foreman Grill during that time, but he was like a likable guy. Like everyone was like liking him. He had a very jolly attitude. He would make fun of himself, how fat he was. And people related to him. And he got a couple of title fights, which he lost. He fought Tyson, right?
No, his goal was to fight Tyson, and
he fought Holyfield. Yeah,
he said he'd knocked Tyson out in 2 rounds, and he was on the David Letterman show, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I wanted to fight Tyson. I have no fear of Tyson." He said, "The only fear I had is when Don King became Tyson's manager." He said, "I was more fearful of signing on the dotted line to a Don King contract and getting a ring with Mike Tyson."
Yeah, Don King was a shady character.
Don King, by the way, is in foreclosure. Real estate news.
Is he really?
Yeah, in Boca, they have he's being foreclosed on a $5 million warehouse that he owns. I don't know why he owns, but
I thought with all the money that guy stole and pocketed over the years, he would be set for life, but I guess not.
Yeah, he's still kicking.
So he's got to be old too.
I think he's 93.
Oh, he is. Wow. Maybe he's like going senile or something like that. But Foreman, when he made that comeback, when he was in that ring with Michael Moore, when Michael Moore was champ, and Teddy Atlas was in his corner. Teddy Atlas was his trainer, and they would show the corner between rounds, and Teddy Atlas kept telling him, "Stay away from this guy. You're winning the fight." He goes, "Stay away from him. The guy is dangerous. I know he's old, but he's got a knockout punch that if he hits you, you're done. He goes, stay away from him." And he wouldn't listen. Michael Moore is like, I got this. And just Michael Moore gets knocked out. George Foreman becomes the oldest heavyweight champ of all time. I think he was 45 or something like that at the time, 44, 45, right?
Yep.
And it's the greatest comeback story of all time because no one ever expected it. It couldn't have happened to a better person because he had really become a completely different person at that point in his life. He was very well liked. It was like I said, it was the greatest feel-good story. Well, you couldn't have written it better in a movie, and Foreman really accomplished it. And you said that Michael Moore is still sore to this day, huh? Over that.
Yeah, he's a
hater, huh?
Yeah, Bonac Caseviera. He's always like denied that he's in denial to this day. He said it was a lucky punch, but you know what? Luck is still facts. By the way, because I know he may listen to it, Jay, I was at your house on Eustace Street in Worcester in that Taj Mahal 2-bedroom apartment you had when Jay was in one room, I was in the other, and I was getting ready to fall asleep watching that fight, and then Foreman knocked him out. I saw it. I couldn't believe it. I was like flawed. It was great. I did send you which was the true Rocky Balboa fight of the century, and you had already seen it.
Yeah. Foreman Lyle. What was his name?
Ron Lyle Foreman fight. Lyle. Just a beast of a match.
Ron Lyle was a guy. Was a jailhouse guy. He was a prisoner guy. Just an angry, guy from prison. fought Foreman. And they beat the crap out of him.
The Howard Cosell intro to the fight.
Yeah.
He's a maniac. He's a criminal. He's brutal.
Foreman is down and hurt. Down goes Foreman. Ron Lyle all over Foreman. Yeah. Foreman gets up. I can't believe it. Down goes Lyle. He's down. He's down. He's down. Foreman got him down. It's out. He's over. It was a great fight.
Dave, you could have auditioned. I could have got you auditioned for if I had known he was doing it for Dave's.
You know who played Howard Cosell in that movie?
Who?
John Voight. One of my favorites.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
You
didn't see that movie? You didn't watch the Foreman movie? Oh my God.
Dave, I did see the movie The Greatest, and Muhammad Ali played himself in it.
Yeah, he played himself. I remember that. That was back in the day. No, but it's on Netflix. It's called Big George Foreman. It's produced by David Zelon, who's a bodybuilder guy. So it's very, very well done. I think anyone who watches it will like it and really enjoy it. The reason it's called Big George Foreman is because he ate like the guy who was like an animal his whole life. He would eat more than everyone in the household. He was always like a big, stocky guy. But man, did he have a punch? But you told me earlier, Evander Holyfield said when he got hit by Foreman, he said it hurt him in his feet, right?
His feet and ankles hurt.
That's great.
And Holyfield fought him when he was at his absolute prime, 28, and Foreman was either 42 or 45, somewhere up there. Someone would know listening.
Yeah. It was very impressive. But anyway, we're going to miss Big George Foreman. He was born in 1949, died in 2025. So great.
8 kids named George, Dave.
Yeah, he named all his sons George. People don't believe that, but it's true. 76 years old.
Someone asked him, why did he name all kids 8? He said, because we're all going to, either in this life, we're all going to rise up together or we're all going to fall together.
Did they have different middle names at least?
I don't know.
What did he call them like in the house? Did he have nicknames?
Well, I mean, who cares? I call my youngest son my uncle's name because I go through the names when I'm busy. I don't get the name right. So I guess if you have That's with 4. If you have 8, you just call one and they all come running.
Yeah, I wonder how he referred to them. I guess he just.
Do you ever notice, Dave, when they'd have someone in the corner, the way he'd set them up?
Right.
He'd take both gloves and put them on each shoulder, and he'd like line the guy up.
They all have the same middle name, Chris, too.
There you go.
George Edward Foreman. I named all my sons George Edward Foreman so they would always have something in common. He has 12 total kids, you know, according to this report here.
What a career, really, when you look
back. Wow, one of his daughters died of suicide in 2019 at age 42. That's terrible.
Yeah, that
crazy.
Is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, when you have a lot of kids like that, there's always a couple of, you know, unfortunate stories, it seems like. Even like all the Kennedys, you know, there was a million Kennedys, there's always like 1 or 2 that, you know, did some weird, you know, crazy stuff. And it's got to be hard to grow up in a family that big, you know, because especially when you have a father who's, you know, so popular, you know, and everything like that. So it's got to be tough.
Well, it's probably tougher growing up in a family today with 1, 2, 3, or 8 kids. Doesn't matter. It's just more distractions for families.
Yeah. Do people even have that many kids anymore? I don't think they do.
No, nobody. No, it's. I mean,
who can afford it?
Well, you just finish a sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
someone was telling me how busy they are with their one child recently.
Their one child. Yeah, try bringing 3 kids to a shopping mall. see how easy it is. Hey, Xavier, what's up, man? Here he is, Xavier Wills.
Xavier.
Lee Priest in the chat, too.
Lee Priest, the celebrities are in the house.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Sean Ray in the house, Lee.
Anyway, he comes here, Brian, because this is a cool place to hang out on Sunday night. That's why he comes here. All right. The other thing I want to bring up, did you see Calum Von Moger spotted in Thailand? I did a little video on it this past weekend.
I didn't see it. What's he doing?
He's, I don't know, he moved to Thailand, and I guess he's trying to find himself. I said it's kind of like the Razor's Edge, you know?
Yeah.
He's, I think he's just trying to find who he is. He got a tattoo. He got this crazy like dragon tattoo on the side of his head. I don't know. I hope he's not. I hope he's in a good place. I hope he's like in a peaceful place. You know, like sometimes people go away and it's good for them. Sometimes they go away, it's not good for them because.
Yeah. The only one I know who put a tattoo on his head who found himself was Lee Priest.
Yeah, you're probably right. As crazy as it sounds that what Lee did, it was functional for him, you know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. There he is, Calum Von Moger. Let me see if I can find the dragon tattoo. Hold on. There it is. He looked like he lost a lot of weight. He looks very skinny here, and he had just recently, you know, gotten big again. So I don't know. It's not a good sign for him. But you know, maybe getting away from it all the bodybuilding and all the hype and hoopla is a good thing.
Well, Thailand has, you know, got its own.
Well, he looks like he's smoking some weed there, but I don't know. You know, obviously, you know, I wish him the best. He's a good guy. You know, he's got a lot of talent. You know what he really should have done, Chris?
What should he have done? Dave just got lost.
Yeah, I don't. I put my hands down too hard on the table, and I lost my connection.
And what should he? You'll get given Calum Von Moger.
I think he should go to Hollywood. I really think he'd fit in fine over there. I mean, I don't know if maybe that scene is is not going to be good for his head, you know, because there's too many, you know, maybe there's too many drugs and stuff like that in there. But I think he would be a good actor. I think he's very marketable still. I think he's a good-looking guy. You know,
Herb Gelb. Give him Herb Gelb's number. Herb is an agent now.
You know, you told me that. Well, where does he book people? Like for movies and stuff?
Oh, who he's got, but he's an agent in Hollywood now.
Wow. Lee Priest, you should call up Irv. Irv used to love you, right? You did a million photo shoots with Irv.
That's so funny, Dave. Irv loved him, Titus, and Jay.
Yeah, those are his 2-3 favorites. You remember all those pictures and goals?
Blonde, you had to have blonde hair. And
yeah.
Like good man.
Did you like Gunther too?
Too tall.
Too tall. What did Lee say? Hold on, let me see what Lee said. Yeah, this is good. Oh, Lee's going on the Kyle Kelsey podcast. Congratulations, Kylie Kelsey. She interviewed Michelle Obama. Now you. Wow, Lee, you big time now.
Send it, Lee. I want to watch it after it's posted.
Yeah, that's great.
Later to mention fibrilize or testralize during the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Dave, when you're coming up with the advanced fibrilize.
Sometimes things are so good you just don't need to fix them, Chris. You know.
You got to put a little logo, a little like plumbing, like a Luigi, the plumber. Plumbers in all 50 states.
Yeah. I have so many people that use so much fibrilize. I'm afraid that I was going to put some probiotics in it, but I figured maybe
don't fiddle with
anything. Yeah, you don't
fiddle. Put Coke and change the formula.
No, yeah, I know. I'm not changing anything. Matt Grego, Wesley Vissers rematch this coming Saturday at the Fuad Abiad IFBB Texas Pro Classic Men's Physique. Give me a prediction.
Grego.
Well, now I know Vissers said after this show he's shutting it down for the rest of the year. He will not be doing the Olympia, even if he wins this show. Is that a good idea, you think? What do you think's behind that thought process?
I think that the body is beat. And I say that because if you just look at the Arnold last year to the Olympia to the Arnold, you know, he's regressed every time. And surely it's not like diet. And at that point, it's probably not like diet, nutrition, training related. It's like you've lost the rhythm with your body where it gets tired and not responding. And when it gets tired and not responding, it just does more of the same, usually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a guess. So, you know.
Well, he got worse he didn't really get much better, I guess, from the Olympia to the Arnold. So that right there is.
Well, he got worse from the Arnold to the Olympia, and then worse from the Olympia to the Arnold.
Right.
So you can turn around like water retention and came in too big, or you can turn around like peeled out of your mind and then came in too flat. But I don't know if you can turn around like something that's like unturnaroundable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a short period, because it's only been, like a month. It's like if he had 2 months off from training or something and then started the training again, it'd probably like re-blow up.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you. I think Grego's going to take him again. And, then that will validate his reason to take off the rest of the year for sure, because, Grego wasn't even on the map last year when Wesley won the Arnold. Now, he lost to Grego. Grego's got momentum on him. If Grego wins here, then I think that, like I said, Wesley's decision to shut it down is a good idea. If Wesley were to win this show just by some miracle, which is not really a miracle because he's a really good bodybuilder, but if he were to win this show, do you think he will do the Olympia, or do you think he's still going to shut it down? And what would you recommend at that point? I
mean, I would make, I don't know, because that previous soliloquy was a guess.
Yeah.
But, what happens is when you win a show, you say like, oh, I'm back. Like, yeah. I can get ready for the Olympia. And that's probably what he would do. That's just the way, you said it to me years ago, Dave, you said, all your friends could say, oh, you're going to get second at a show, and you come up first, and they'll all change your mind, like right after you get the first. You killed them. You smoked
It's true.
them.
It's true.
In other words, mindsets are changed based on the result.
Right.
Often.
All right. Yeah, I agree. Let's talk before we go to the rest of the Detroit Pro. I wanted to talk about GoodVito because I saw those updates by this guy. This guy is freaking off the charts, Chris. What's going on with GoodVito? I mean, GoodVito could have probably competed this coming weekend if he wanted to. He looks like he's ready to go. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, he did Detroit last year.
No, I know he did. How come he's skipping it this year?
Well, he's doing the Arnold in 2 weeks.
No, I know he is. Why wouldn't he hit both?
He's committed to the South American show. It's in his backyard. Traveling from Brazil is not like traveling from Florida to Detroit. It's a big trip. So to come to Detroit, then go back there. And I think he's just interested in bringing his best, whether it be the South American show, the Arnold. I think it's is it called the Arnold or is it the Muscle Contest?
No, it's the Arnold, the South America. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's only, I think, interested in bringing his best. So if there was a show, it doesn't matter if it's this show in South America, the Detroit show, a show in Kansas City, Missouri, that's a pro show. He just wants to get back on stage and, be his best. He did the show last year in South America and he had the tanning catastrophe. They painted him with motor oil. And then he competed in Detroit last year, in which, Martin Fitzwater on the show.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I was asking why he didn't do Detroit, because that would have been a safer bet, just in case, he doesn't win, the Arnold Brazil. But I can't see anyone beating him in Brazil. I mean, I don't even know who's going to be in the show, but he seems like he should easily win that show. But I guess, like you said, it's right in his backyard. It's easier, and go with that as a first show. I guess makes sense.
In the words of Steve Weinberger, there's no guarantees. What if you get injured?
Right.
What if you get a twist your ankle 4 days out? Or the worst case scenario is ever, right? There's no guarantees. As Steve said once, what if you get a legitimate bug a couple days from a show? People say who don't hit their peak say, I got sick.
Yeah.
What if you legitimately get a bug a couple days ago? So there's no shows, period.
Is that an accurate look at the GoodVito, what we just saw?
The videotape is extremely accurate.
That's what I'm looking for. Sid, can you pull that videotape up?
You guys had posted it up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. I mean, this is pretty freaky right here. Just look at him train. He looks like a young Jay Cutler. I mean, really. I mean, I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's the strongest guy in the IFBB right now.
If you compared him to Jay Cutler, young Jay Cutler, when you were working with Jay, I mean, what does he have that Jay doesn't have, and what does he not have that Jay did have?
They both needed back thickness, but they both have the width. They have Jay has back lat spread, and GoodVito has an excellent back lat spread.
I mean, he really has a lot in common with Jay. So, a couple of guys were telling me they thought he looked like Ramy, but I think he looks more like Jay. Maybe Jay's torso was a little more stretched out, a little longer than his, but yeah, he's got some freaky glutes and hams from behind. He's got the side poses are fucking wacky. His chest is huge. His arms and shoulders. I mean, he's really got it all. Vito, like this guy says, Vito might have a better structure than Jay did. Jay was just a little wider probably, and Jay had those, just a little bit more wow, maybe because he was taller than Vito, I think, right?
Yeah, well, Jay had the super cap tricep early on, and Jay had the, at a younger age, just the most insane. He sent me the picture, Dave. You've never seen it. I should, if I know how to. He sent me a picture from the 01 Olympia where the Christmas tree is just absolutely starts like soup. And it is just so crazy deep and striated. So his lower lats were, he had the width. Some people have a width, right, on a back lat spread.
Yeah.
Width with crazy thickness in the lower back and crazy detail. So
here's Jay Cutler, 2001. Let's see if we can get him on stage. Here he goes. Was he 250? Is that accurate?
No, he was way higher than 250.
Yeah, I thought. That's what I thought.
It was 268.
He said he's only 5'8" here. He's about 5. Jay's about 5'11", so that's not even accurate. So let's see. What do you look like here? Typical terrible angles on the Olympia. They're shooting them from like 4 miles away. You know.
Hold on. Because Jay sent me this recently, and it's just astounding.
Let's look at this one. We're looking at it in pose here. It's a 2001.
Yeah, you talk. I'll look for the photo that he sent. I'd love to see it.
Well, I'm looking at it right here. He looks like a freak, you know. That crazy side tricep pose. He just, what people don't realize is until you see him in person, Jay was really wide. I think he's probably wider than Vito, but you know, Vito's got some better body parts than Jay, you know.
Jay was the widest person, I think.
Yeah, I've ever seen. It's crazy.
In history.
Yeah.
Like people would see him and just be astounded with the width.
You just see him in a sweatshirt. It's impressive, you know, because he's so wide.
Hold on, Dave. Got to find this picture because people, it's. Damn. Because there's his Lamborghinis. What else did he send me? Hey, look! Check out this shot, Dave. You got to post this up.
All right.
I found it, everybody.
Did you just text it to me, or did you email it to me?
Oh, yep.
I got to email it to myself now. Can you just directly email it?
No, I already. That's too much work.
Chris is so fucking lazy. Oh my god!
People will be happy that you post it, Dave.
Yeah, all right.
They will love it.
Is it just 2 pictures you said?
Yeah, there's pec striations. If you want to know what condition looked like in 2001, there you go. So stop with the nonsense that 01 was not his best. Even though Jay will say 03, look at those calves, huh?
Yeah, he was impressive.
Though people will say 03 Arnold when he was 02 Arnold, I don't know.
Yeah. I remember these last Ronnie J. It was nonstop back in the day. And unfortunately for Jay, Ronnie won every time except the last time, you know, or the last 2 times, you know.
You got on your.
I'm pulling the pictures up. Hold on a second. All right, let's download these suckers.
Would this be 1-2 at the Olympia this year?
It could be 1-2 any year. Right?
You filled in if we were on a game show, Dave, you would have won that extra $1 million.
Yeah. They were retarded looking. All right. Well, I don't think you can't say retarded anymore, even though in bodybuilding you can say it because it's like referring to how freaky someone looks.
Yeah.
But you can't say anything else. I said this is what you're talking about. Is Chris the lower lats? Ronnie had good lats here too.
Yeah, great lats. Just the thick J's, you know.
Look at Ronnie's glutes. They look like someone carved them out of freaking stone. But yeah, Jay was dry.
That was supposedly the year, people go, wow, 01, but Ronnie was off. It's like a retro
Yeah.
for not winning the show.
Yeah. That's not what I wanted to show you.
I tried to tell Jay, you don't need my help. Sean Ray says you can do it all on your own.
Blackman loves to tell the story about this show, too.
Blackman predicted it.
The reason why Jay was so hard is Chris he didn't drink for 3 days. He just ate dry rice cakes.
How about the most muscular? Coleman looks killer, the most muscular too. So
I'm trying to pull that one up. Hold on. It was supposed to have download. I don't know where it didn't download. All right.
His first publishing contract to Jay after that show.
Yeah, I don't know how he got him away from Weider. From
money.
Oh, is that what it was? You offered him more?
Yeah, I don't even think Weider did Weider have contracts then? It was 01.
Oh, you think I think Blackman started the whole contract?
No. It was a publishing contract, so Jay had a supplement contract.
Oh, okay. I can't believe Weider didn't have them all tied up, though. Anyway. There it is.
All you nut huggers, remember Coleman is closer to the camera here too.
Yeah, well, you could see how dry and hard Jay is by looking at his abs. You could put quarters in there. They'd stay.
Yeah, Visa was going to give him a contract after that because you could slide a Visa
What
card.
people don't realize is Ronnie would win these shows sometimes, and this was they probably if it was happening today, they probably would have given Jay the win. Just because the rematch would have been insane in 02 and then 03. Imagine that with Jay with one Olympia and Ronnie would have had a couple of titles. People would have gone off the freaking charts.
Well, if you Dave, the first two-person call out at an Olympia ever.
Oh, was it? Okay. You're probably right.
The prejudgment was over. The prejudgment was over. And people were like, okay, they were going crazy, and they okay, one more time, we're not sure. I got to see Jay and Ronnie.
Yeah. This was a good show. I was there. I knew they weren't going to give it to Jay, but I wouldn't have complained had they done it because Jay looked that good. But I just back then with Weider in charge, you didn't see the title changing hands very often, unless it was unless the person was really, really off. They would always. Give it to him. Look, Jay beat Victor in one of his, like that. Victor easily could have won that 07 Olympia. They gave Dorian number 6, over Nasser in 1997. There was a lot of close calls like that, and they always kind of. But then if Mr. Olympia didn't come, then Jay came back worse in 08, and then they gave it to Dexter. So, yeah. But it would have been so. You just never know, how they're going to roll. Nowadays, it seems like if a guy's off, whoever deserved to win wins, and I think that's great. I think that's why the Olympia has been so exciting because we don't know who's going to win. There's been a new Mr. Olympia almost every year.
If you're off, goodbye.
Yeah. So
you're lucky you get a look.
Yeah. No, it's true, but that's the way it should go. They're actually voting on who looks the best. All right, let's talk about the Detroit Pro Men's Open, and we know number one, Carlos Thomas will be in that. William Bonac, James Hollingshead, Ron Gordon, Sas Harati, right? He's doing it, and there it is. This is a good opportunity, to snag a qualification. I am actually disappointed in a lot of bodybuilders that did not show up at this show.
Strange.
I think Akeem Williams should have been in this lineup.
Well, he's qualified.
I still think he should have done it. He could have held on for another couple weeks.
He did a lot of shows in his defense.
Yeah, all right. You're right. Now, there is something I want to ask you. It's a little off. His Sassarati, we were looking at him last week. He's probably the best he's ever been. He could surprise a lot of people. He doesn't have the greatest of structures, but I think that his mass and his freaking hard and gnarly muscle is going to make him definitely a crowd favorite there, and possibly, you know, I mean, I don't know who else could beat him. You know, Bonac maybe.
Well, I mean, those are Bonac just came off a great finish at the Arnold.
Look, if Bonac goes in there and wins this, it's a big, huge missed opportunity for a lot of guys. You know, obviously Brandon Curry doesn't need to requalify; he's Mr. Olympia. I'm trying to think who else could have taken advantage of this, you know, show. The only person I was thinking really is GoodVito, but you know, like I said, I don't think anyone's going to beat GoodVito down in Brazil anyway. But Testalize will be available again on Amazon Prime. I promise you. Let me tell you something about Amazon. It's a great place to sell your products because you can make a lot of money, but it's a terrible place too because number one, they take a lot of fees out, and number two, they randomly will have you just, you know, send them like crazy amounts of reports and stuff like that on that. And if you say like, if you make a claim that they don't like, they'll remove it. So, and then you have to do the appeals process to get it back. So we just did the appeals process. They just reaccepted it. It's the wackiest thing. They could actually do something to one of your like protein tubs that's like chocolate, and then the vanilla or the other flavors they don't do anything to. So it's like they randomly just select products. They say, okay, we want you to test this, or we want you to go over the claims on this, and we don't like the claims that you're making, or you know, can you got to rechange them or something like that. And so you got to go back and you got to play by their rules, because if you don't, they kick you off of there. So it's like, if you want to play in their playground, you got to play. The thing that sucks is I had to send Chris 1,000 bottles back to my fulfillment warehouse. And now I have to send the 1,000 back to Amazon again. So whatever money I make on those test flies, I'll probably lose because of all the shipping I had to ship them around. I will tell you I'll tell you a funny story that was a little scary. You know, I have a pacemaker in my chest. I told you, from the aorta repair surgery I had 2 years ago. By the way, which was 2 years ago, about this past weekend, was the anniversary of that. I'm glad to say I'm doing very well. And anyway, so I have a pacemaker in here because they kind of, whenever they do like open heart surgery on it, they can mess with the electrical system. And my electrical system was kind of messed up a little bit. So to coordinate all the chambers again, they give you a pacemaker. So I have this pacemaker, and every night, I think I told you this, I sit by the TV and I stretch on the floor. And then after I'm done stretching, I'll put my legs up on the couch and I'll do ab crunches. I usually do 200 crunches every night. That's my neurotic routine I do. Okay. So I was on the phone talking. I don't even remember who I was talking to. So I had the phone on speaker and I had it laid it on my chest, Chris, and I'm doing crunches, right? And all of a sudden I start hearing this, it's like a siren going off. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? The phone is this coming from the phone? What's going on? And then I realized it's not coming from the phone, Chris, it's coming from my chest. And the pacemaker is putting off a siren. Now it didn't shock me. It was nothing like that. But it was making it like an alarm noise. And I'm like, this can't be good, right? Because, I mean, think about it. What you hear something inside your chest. I'm like, oh, boy. I said, either I'm dead or something seriously right here. So I get up immediately because I have to assess now whether I'm actually feeling good or bad. I think I'm feeling good. I mean, I'm doing abs. I'm not in any pain or anything like that. So I get up and the alarm stops. And I'm like, all right, what the frick just happened? So I go and I start Googling, what you know, Medtronic, pacemaker, what could possibly be going, you know, why would it sound an alarm? And one of the things was cell phones can disrupt the magnetic field around the pacemaker. So you're not supposed to put the phone near the pacemaker. I had mine resting on top of it. So it was disrupting the magnetic field, and that's why the alarm went off, because it wasn't working properly. And so I learned the lesson the hard way. It scared the shit out of me, but, you know, thank God, you know, there was nothing serious.
Well,
So
they magnetic field, when you hold it to your ear, causes, right?
Well, they say that, you know, so what I guess the point I'm making, aside from the fact that I felt like an idiot and I was scared, is that these phones are not innocuous. You know, they do, you know, have an electrical and magnetic field around them, which I'm assuming, like you said, if you're holding it up to your head 24 hours a day, probably not good for your brain or your ear.
Don't put it in your pocket either. Lower sperm.
I know. Well, yeah, I don't want any more kids, so that's fine. But no, but a lot of you see that the women, they put it in their like shirt pockets, and a lot of women have come up with breast cancers and stuff like that right where the cell phone sits. It's wacky, and I'm not saying it's going to happen to everyone, but there is an absolute, incidence where people actually have issues from cell phones. So don't, it's not an innocuous machine. Just because you can't see the energy field or the magnetic field it produces one. I had it here, and the thing.
Uh-oh. Dave, you okay? We think your pacemaker may be going off because we lost you.
I think my phone disrupted the magnetic field of the.
Well, we thought you just collapsed there, possibly.
No, I think the phone disrupted the magnetic electrical field of my camera here.
Tim Cook had disconnected the show because he talked bad about the phone.
Did you see that reel I sent you about Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank was talking about Steve Jobs?
No, but Jose had dinner with Mr. Wonderful the other night.
He did?
Yeah, he sent me the picture.
How did he know Mr. Wonderful?
I have a mutual friend. They went to like the best place in Boston.
Wow. Did Jose treat it? Did Mr. Wonderful treat?
Oh, I think that people around Mr. Wonderful, isn't that how it works? Wanted to treat him to everything. Which
okay. I didn't know Jose knew him. The funny thing is, I guess Mr. Wonderful used to work for Steve Jobs. And they were talking about, like, there was this woman who came into the office and had a meeting. They had hired, she was a marketing person. And she's like, Mr. Jobs, I think I want to spend $2 million on doing some market research to see how people like, the iPhone and this and that. And he goes, what are you wasting my money for? He goes, I don't need market research. He goes, people buy what I tell them to buy. And so Mr. Wonderful says to Steve, he goes, and the woman walked away. I mean, he was really nasty there. And Mr. Wonderful's like, you made her cry, and she's got some valid points. He goes, listen to me. He said his name. I don't know what's his real name. Mr. Wonderful's real name. I forget the name. Anyway, he says, listen to me. He goes, are you making money? Am I making money? Are we all making money? And Mr. Wonderful goes, yes. He goes, then shut up and go do your job. He said.
That was Steve Jobs.
And Mr. Wonderful said, you know what? I thought to myself for a second, he's right.
When Steve Jobs, in his book, there's a part in the book where he comes out with the iPad.
Right.
And he brings it to, like, I don't know, he goes on vacation somewhere, or maybe assistant goes on vacation. I can't remember, but I did read the book. It was a great book. Probably better than Big George Foreman, the movie.
Yeah.
And they take the iPad, like the prototype, to somewhere, I think in Central America. And a little kid, like 6 years old, comes up and he starts scrolling through this thing and scrolling, through the internet. And in other words, without a manual, he can use it. He's 6 right away, and he's like enamored with it. That's when he knew that he had a home run with that product.
So it was intuitive. That's why. How do you think our kids use these iPads and iPhones? Right?
Yeah, of course. It's built for a 6-year-old.
It's just intuitive. That's what it is that kids just know intuitively how to use it.
Yeah. Very excellent, Dave. You probably would have, that's the creativity part of you. To know that it's intuitive, yes.
The genius behind it is that it is intuitive. How they figured it out to make it so intuitive that people could just pick it up and use it is amazing.
Well, that was Steve Jobs' vision.
Yeah.
Part of the book was also like, people would say like, oh, we can't do that. And be like, okay, good, you're fired.
Yeah. I don't know. Getting back to the Detroit Pro coming up this weekend. Who do you think has got to be the favorite of these people that I mentioned? Sassarati, Carlos Thomas, William Bonac, James Hollingshead, Ron Gordon.
Bonac, he won 2 shows last year. More than 2 shows. He's been top blah, blah, blah at the Olympia. He's won the Arnold. He's, just came off the most competitive Arnold going, and he was 5th.
Yeah, I'd have to say you're right. I'd have to agree with that.
I mean, that top 6 Arnold was probably the best it's ever been. Ever.
Yeah. For sure.
And he landed in the 5th spot, so he has to be the heavy favorite.
All right, I have to put you on the spot here for this one because Oh, all right. There's Bonac. All right. Thanks, Sid, for pulling that up. I'll let's just take a look. So this is that was recent, Sid? Yeah, I'm assuming that was recent. 2 days ago. Okay. Yeah, Bonac, the freak factor is still there. I don't know how he's still doing it at his age, but the freak factor is there. And I think you're right. I think of the guys we mentioned, with the muscle maturity, with the balance to his body.
He's still younger than Foreman when Foreman knocked out Michael Moore.
You're right. You're right. How can I argue with that? Sergio confirmed he's going to FIBO. Sergio Oliva Jr. So that's good. You see, I interviewed Bob Cicherillo.
No, what did Bob Chick have to say?
Yeah, we just talked about it. Freedom of speech. Told the story about the Nick Walker, back and forth, which is kind of just internet drivel, as I call it.
Yeah, the big what is the main controversy there as you see it?
Nothing. I think
obviously some perceived or not, real or not, there's a controversy there.
Yeah.
At what?
Bob made a good point.
Controversy lies.
Bob made a good point in the sense that he said, listen, let's look at who just placed at the Olympia, and see, where does Nick fall, and he went through all the competitors from Andrew Jack and Brandon Curry, who just looked really great, and Derek Lunsford, who just won the Arnold Classic, and obviously Hadi Chopin, who's coming back, Samson Dowda, who, can Nick beat those guys? Maybe, but maybe not, right? He even mentioned Beirut. If Beirut Tabani makes it to the Olympia, it might be hard for Nick to make the top 5 in this lineup of people. And it's not an unfound, opinion on his part. And if you break it down, he might be right. So what I was defending, we did it. We defended his right to say it. I mean, if that's his opinion, then Bob should be allowed to say it. It doesn't matter if he's the MC of the show or not, because he's still entitled to an opinion. He's still a guy who evaluates things. And whether I agree with everything he says or not, which I don't always agree with everything he says, I still defend his right to say it. And so that was a big part of the interview, was defending that right to say whatever, was on his mind.
Feel that is that the controversy, that he supposedly doesn't have the right to say it?
Yeah, they want to shut him down. They want people want him to be fired as the Olympia MC because he voiced an opinion and they felt it was too strong. Like, in other words, he should have coddled it a little bit more, the opinion.
I think the only people who really need to bite their tongue and be careful is a judge. Simply.
Yeah. Right.
And
I agree.
the judge may have a thought of, like, who's going to be my top 5? I wonder who.
Right.
He's have an idea of, like, this should be the top 5 or the top 10. These are the guys who are going to fight for the top 3. But unfortunately, if you ever brought him on, let's say, your show and said, Judge A, who do you think's going to be, if he said, like, well, I think Samson, I think Derek, I think this guy, I think that guy, Hadi, that, fans would come out, people would come out and say, how dare he say that, because he's a judge. But the fact of the matter is, people have their opinions, and probably the only ones who should play their cards a little closer are judges.
Right.
Otherwise,
I agree 100% with what you just said. Good, because judges, if they start giving opinions before the show, it means like maybe they're biased, in a sense. Yeah.
I them that actually, some of them, they give their opinion after the show because people will agree with them so much that it's, why even bother?
Well, yeah, but you know what? I think it's okay to explain why you picked someone at the show, but you don't want to go on this record and say, I don't think this guy will ever win the Olympia, because now you're basically, who the hell wants that guy to judge you, right? If you don't think you can ever win the Olympia, so you can't do that as a judge, but as an MC, it doesn't matter. He's not judging anyone.
Yeah.
The other controversy was that he was talking about Arnold because they, obviously he was the Arnold MC for 3 years running. They fired him or he left or whatever, whoever, there's two sides of the story about, why he's no longer the NPC over there. He gave his side of the story. I taught Brian Powers and I, Brian who runs the Arnold, who we said, he did a really great job this year. He texted me and he was upset about the fact that that I let Bob give his side of the story, which I said, listen, you can come on and give your side of the story if you want. It doesn't matter. It's just, I had Bob on for another controversy and Bob just brought it up. So, I mean, I welcome all sides of every story, right? I want everyone's opinion. We don't censor anyone here. So I don't know why he was upset about it, but Bob gave his opinion and that was it. It doesn't mean it's the truth. It just means that was Bob's truth, why he's no longer there. And it doesn't even matter. I actually like the rivalry between the Olympia and the Arnold. Bob, doesn't think there is a rivalry. He thinks the Olympia is superior, but of course Bob's going to say that because he's the MC there and he's no longer the MC at the Arnold. But I think that the rivalry between the Arnold and the Olympia is great because it raises the level of both shows, just like when Weider and Muscular Development were battling each other, right? The magazine wars. And it made both magazines better because it made us work harder at MD, made Weider work harder at the Flex and Muscle and Fitness, and everyone got better coverage and everyone got better, information because we both were competing against. If you don't have anyone to compete against, then usually what happens is you stagnate, right? Because there's no reason to work harder. There's no reason to make any changes, especially in prize money. But now that they're upping each other's, this one's raising the prize money, the other one's raising the prize money. This one's bringing in, more, hype and hoopla. This one's raising the stage presence. The lighting's better. The backdrops. It only makes both shows better, and it makes more opportunities available for the athletes. And so that's all it's about. And like I said, Brian, I'll say it here. I said it to you in text. If you want to come on the show, I'd love to hear, what it takes to run that Arnold Classic. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it. You're very passionate about it. Arnold obviously believes in you. I have nothing but good stuff to say about the Arnold Classic. I've said that before. Chris and I had a very, very positive experience there this year. We always have good experiences there. That's why we come back every year. And it is what it is. But that's, I thought the Bob interview was very good. I thought it was cute. I thought it went well. And even if, some people were not happy with what he said, I don't care because I thought the interview was top notch.
Well, Dave, with regards to competition,
yeah,
I love Joe Weider to death because he treated me really, really well. And I wouldn't say I was friends with him, but I spoke with him far frequently than other people probably spoke.
Right.
But, in terms of competition, he didn't really break out his wallet until after Vince McMahon had previously broken out his.
Good point you make. Yes.
So important in terms of, the dynamic between the Olympia, which is, has the history, and the Arnold has a history too. And then second to, we all, people are critics, of course, about everything, but what I do know from running a business, and I'm sure
mm-hmm.
people have completely no idea of what goes on behind the scenes to produce the Olympia
mm-hmm.
or the Arnold. The amount of legwork and the amount of pre-planning and planning and dotting T's, dotting I's and crossing T's, all the stuff that they don't see. So even if you have, which is rare, a odd snafu
mm-hmm.
at the show while it's live, it's not like making the George Foreman movie when some scene doesn't come out well, you just say, leave it on the editing floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's live, so to see so few snafus is a testament to what goes in professionally into both of those shows. And I think both of them need, I think that's what you're alluding to, or not alluding to, I've explicitly said it, is the Olympia needs the Arnold and the Arnold needs the Olympia.
Sure.
To keep each other on their toes. And there's nothing better than friendly or non-friendly competition.
Look,
better You started without. I will 100% guarantee you, if Jay Cutler didn't show up in 01, Coleman would have just, won all those. We wouldn't have seen a Coleman 03.
Right.
They had not shown up.
No. Sure.
And and if there was no Coleman, you would have never seen like the best of Jay. You are only as good as your competition.
Think about what happened at the Olympia 2 years ago when the guys went on stage at 11 o'clock at night. Remember?
Yeah.
We're all off, and I made a big stink, and it wasn't just me. Everyone made a big stink, and they didn't like it. They got mad at us. Jake and I had an argument at the after party about it. But you know what? They fixed it the following year, and now and to this year it went off perfectly. The guys didn't get on stage. It was in the middle of the show. It wasn't at the end of the show. They went on stage at a reasonable time. Everyone looked really good, and we got a great competition. And that was because of criticism. The Arnold. They raised their production value of the show. They lowered the amount of divisions in their show so that the show can run more smoothly, quicker. And I think people really had a very good experience. They liked the show. I sat from the minute it started to the minute it ended. It wasn't too much. It was 2.5 hours. It was great. I liked the fact that there are less divisions at the Arnold. Obviously, for the Olympia, you need more divisions because you got to give every division, right? It's an Olympia title. It's a different show. But there's a different feel for both shows. Obviously, the Arnold is a lot more to do with the expo. The Olympia has a great expo too, but the Arnold expo is bigger. And so it's a different flavor of both shows. But they're both fighting for who's going to give away the most money. Obviously, the Olympia right now is giving away $100,000 more. Arnold gave away $500,000. Still a lot of money out there. Romano thinks that Arnold should just pull out his checkbook and raise it to $1 million.
Don't steal that idea from me. I've been saying that.
Well, maybe he got the idea from you. Did say that originally, but the point is that once that happens, then the Olympia raises. So think about how much the prize money has gone up because of this little battle they have back and forth. Great for the athlete. Great. We have retirement money now being put out there. These guys could actually buy houses, businesses with this type of money. It's incredible, And yes, you have to pay taxes on it, just like everyone. I heard Ali Bilal complaining about the taxes he had to pay. In his money. Chris, can you please explain to people that unfortunately you have to pay taxes on earned money in this day and age? You don't get free money anymore.
Don King is coming out of retirement. you only have to sign a 100-page competitor's contract.
Right.
If you sneeze wrong, he gets all your prize money.
I love Ali Bilal, but Ali, I'm sorry. Yes, you have to pay taxes on the money, and yes, there's nothing wrong with the Arnold Classic people taking the taxes out because that's the way it happens. Okay, I know you're not from America originally, but you still have to pay taxes. You want it here, so they have to take taxes out. And you know what? You don't want to deal with the IRS.
Do you have the option? Do you have the option if you receive? Do you know that? Ask Ron Woman.
What's the option?
You have the option to pay your U.S. tax if you receive the money in full.
Oh, really? You can pay your own? Is that what you're saying? You can pay your own taxes?
If I live in England,
right,
or a church event, and I win a Toyota Celica or whatever,
right,
and they ship me the Celica, do they ask me for the taxes before they give me the Celica?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really know. I've never won a Toyota Celica. My point is, if you're into,
I'm not sure.
Lee Priest, did they ever take taxes out of you when you won prize money? When you were from Australia before you were living in here and married?
Yeah, they did it anywhere. He said
how would they ever get paid of the taxes if they don't take it out? Right away. If you're an international person,
my question is, do you have the option?
Lee never paid taxes. I love it. Those are the good old days. That was the Wild West, though. You get away with it back then, right? In the 90s. Oh my God. I paid them in Australia, he said. Oh, all right, well. So you had to pay Australian taxes, or you paid even though you won the money in America? We got to get Ron Norman on here to do a segment. He called me the other day, by the way.
Get Ron on and see what type of diet's he on at the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to get Ron on here because I think that the bodybuilders, you know what the truth is, with all the money they're making now, we need some investment advice. What should guys be spending their money on? Where should they be putting their money? What kind of funds they're putting in? You're a money guy. What do you think? You think people should be buying real estate with it or putting the money in the market? You know.
You always depends on how hard you want to work.
Yeah.
Real estate, if you want to work, you know, if you don't want to work, you put it in an index fund.
Okay.
Forget about it.
Mm-hmm. What does an index fund pay pretty much these days?
I mean, it depends on what it's invested in. VFIAX is the best one.
What is their average over like 5 years, 10 years?
Beat the market by a point.
Really? Okay.
Or you can do like, or you can buy Berkshire B shares because you're buying. Who owns Berkshire? Warren Buffett's.
Warren Buffett.
$1 billion in treasuries. So if the stock market crashes, don't you think he can say, "Well, I'm going to buy $200 million worth of stock when it's at its all-time low"?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he probably loves
but
that.
You're trading out your cash for his cash. Plus, he has stock. So that might be the best play.
Yeah.
But those are the reasonable. The unreasonable things is what people like to do.
Yeah. Well, a lot of bodybuilders have been opening gyms recently with the money they're making. So, I mean, I guess if that's a passion project and you're going to be there every day and you know.
That's work.
It's work. But you know what? A lot of guys love it because it's something they're passionate about. So. But I will say this, Levrone had a freaking unbelievable gym, Kevin Levrone, back in the day in Maryland. I think, was it a Gold's or a Powerhouse? I can't remember. I think it was a Gold's. And it was one of the best stock gyms at the time, and that was back in the 90s. I went there in 96. I trained with him one day. I loved it. And he said the gym was doing well, but it was a lot of work while he was competing, you know, to run that gym. And it's a shame because it was a freaking awesome gym. So I do like the idea of guys like Derek and Flex, Lewis. They're opening gyms. The guy Sistanino, they're a little on the smaller side, so it's a little bit easier to maintain the gym and keep an eye on it rather than having this mega gym that you have to run. And it seems to be a little bit, you know, more reasonable to run a gym like that. I know Samson's opened a gym like that. What did it say right here? A lot of openings because there's nuclear warfare between these gym equipment makers, and they're getting heavily. Yeah. A lot of these, you're right. A lot of these companies that make the equipment are funding these gyms, or at least giving them free equipment, almost used as a showroom. And
the problem, Dave, the rent is not free.
No, but you gotta have some memberships in there for sure. Unless you buy a building yourself and you don't have to really worry about the rent too much, but you still got to pay taxes on it. So
Don King for his warehouse, he could change it into the one that's a closure.
I like the idea of what Flex Lewis does because he kind of makes it like an exclusive gym, like where it's expensive to join there, but it's not just any Harry, Dick, and Joe coming off the street because it is more expensive and it is a lot of pros there and it is higher end equipment. And I think that's a kind of like a niche that if you hit it right in the right area with the right type of people, it could catch on. And there's less wear and tear on your equipment when you have less members. It's kind of like concierge medicine. You pay a higher premium, but you get better service. And so I don't know. If I had a gym, I think it would be, like you said, it seems like a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
So.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Tom, Dick, and Harry. Thank you for correcting me. All right. Well, we have a great, another, like I said, pro show, men's open #2, and the classic physique coming up this weekend in Detroit. Fuad Abiad putting that on. I'm sure it's going to be a great event. And we've got some Olympia qualifications up for grabs. Chris Aceto on the record predicting Matt Grego victory there. Let's see if he's right, if he can knock out Wesley Vissers again. And William Bonac, as Chris Aceto also predicted, take the men's open. That's going to be a one for the ages. Or will we see a new star emerge? Maybe Sas Harati will make a comeback and win that, or you never know, maybe a James Hollingshead or Carlos Thomas upset. There's also a free live stream, which is great. I commend you, applaud you, Fuad, for doing that. That's great. Good idea.
Who's the MC of the show, Dave?
I don't know. Sid is.
Yeah, there was a plug for Sid.
There you go. Our very own Sadiq Faruqi putting on the suit and tie.
The yellow suit from
emceeing that event. Sid's one of the best. I say I'm a little biased because I'm very good friends with him and he works for me, but I say he is the best. So if you guys are going to be in the Detroit area and you want to stop in, check it out. If not, you can watch it live on the live stream. And I will be doing that. Crystal will be doing that. And we'll be doing a full wrap-up next Sunday. Same bat time, same bat station. As we say every week, Chris, with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
We'll see you next week. Enjoy the Detroit Pro.